da.
Ah! How's the Rubric family today? Welcome to another episode of Rubric. Thank you so very much for being with us today. Jean Paul and Juanzo, like always, thank you for watching our show. And for our people, our family on PA, the snowstorm doesn't seem too bad, so we're all ready to clean those cars and make sure that everything is up and running once again. And Rubric never stops, so we have today something along those lines that we do all the time, and is another episode of the Rock and Skull Sessions. And this time we have Glenn Jacobs, Kane. So Jean Paul, take us through another episode of Stone Cold.
Yeah, it was good. This one I definitely liked more than the second episode, the Bill Goldberg one. It was probably on par with the Undertaker because I mean the Undertaker one might be better, but this one was good because like we do with everything we've seen with Kane. Most people think when he originally started the big red machine, everything and just like how he was dark and kind of evil and mysterious, and then there was a little bit of funny stuff with like the Team Hell No, towards the end of Kane's run, but this really like got you inside the mind of Glenn Jacobs, and you saw like just how nice and of a genuine guy he really was. So that was really cool, I thought.
Like you were telling me, like how humble and down
Hmm.
to earth, like pretty cool guy. And I really appreciate Kane as the character up to like probably 2005, 2006. And then up to
Yeah,
that point when he became kind of a little crappy, he had like a these like last 10 years have been a little bit like
yeah,
because of
yeah,
like
like
the
yeah,
transformations.
yeah, the
But you know
corporate
the value
Kane
that
and all
he had.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but like for example, like you, for example, when you were getting into wrestling, what was like your thoughts about Kane as a character? Because I know that that was probably one of your favorite ones of
Oh
all
yeah,
time.
yeah. I mean, he was like I said, it was one of those guys where it was like no matter even if he didn't have the belt, it was like Undertaker was the big strong guy, like nobody messed with him. And then they introduced Kane, and Kane, he was constantly screwing with the Undertaker, beating people up until the Undertaker accepted the match. They had the match, and he kicked out of two Tombstone pile drivers, and it's like they just built him up as a monster. So it was like there was finally like there's this guy who's better than the best guy in WWE. But was he booked like that throughout his career and his run? Not really, but like when he first hit the scene, it was like he was a monster, and like that's what you liked, even though he was like a heel. Just the way he looked and his moves, when he first started hitting huge clotheslines off the top rope and like everything he did, even though he was a heel, you still wanted to see him and cheered him because
Yeah,
it
well,
was just mesmerizing to see him.
and that's the aura. That's the key word right there. That's the one word that you always want to think about. Kane, mesmerizing. And that's kind of like when WWE really care about the character development. Those
Hmm.
things that, for example, at least NXT, you see pieces of it because use like you said, like for example, the way he talk, the way that like at the beginning, with the microphone and Kane and all of that, and
Yeah.
then the first probably year and a half, no even he didn't even talk. So it was pretty much the way he talked. It was pretty much body language. So
Was the first
that's
one of the first things he said was the DX, like suck it.
yeah,
I think that
yeah.
I don't know if that was the first, but I know that was one of the first when he was with X Pac.
Yes, yes, and then they say that was cool, and then of course the Rock started mocking him and like, oh, and I'm gonna kick
Yeah.
your ass, and yeah, like you said, it's important to think and to appreciate that like what Kane did for the business is
Uh
like also like gave so many years and so many important storylines to the Undertaker. They
oh yeah.
feed off each other because
Yeah.
that whole storyline, and probably for most people, even for me, I will say that's probably the best storyline that they can ever come up with.
Oh yeah, and definitely is one of the best in all of WWE. And I really like how you said like they were synonymous with each other throughout their whole career. And that goes back to when freaking Kane, before Isaac Yankem, before Fake Diesel, when he was in Smoky Mountain, Jim Cornette's old promotion as the Unabomber.
Yes,
So it was like, they had a match because they had and also when Undertaker was on that like little tour or whatever you want to call it in Smoky Mountain, little known fact, he also wrestled New Jack and
yes,
Mustafa. So
yes,
there was, because they were in Smoky Mountain, that's where they were before ECW. So the Undertaker, he went down there do a favor Vince McMahon for Jim Cornette, but Like, so they started there, and he, like he said, he put in a good word for him. And then we just see, he gets the call from WWE, and it's like Vince McMahon, of course, he even had the dumb ideas back then, or it was Bruce Pritchard. Somebody was like in love with a wrestling dentist.
Oh,
And,
it was Vince McMahon, but like the idea started from Bobby Heenan. But
oh,
yeah,
he
you're
didn't.
right.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tell
yeah.
that back then it was already the crowd was already like brewing.
Yeah.
So the
And
crowd has been
also,
brewing for years.
yeah, I was going to say that that fit right into like the cartoon wrestling. That was all, it was all just the gimmicks, like the Coco Bewares, all those guys. So it was all just that kind of stuff. And like he said, he went in with the right attitude. Instead of being, now social media and all that didn't exist, but instead of posting on social media like I hate this, or like, being like that, he just stuck with it. And like, look how he was rewarded
Oh yeah, and then
with a,
see
with a
that
Hall of Fame career.
speaks volumes even for any kind of job, guys. Any type of like things that you're listening to us, family. If you feel that you're stuck into something, give it a shot. Don't complain. Maybe like your attitude will be the thing that will be rewarded, and that's
Mhm.
what happened with Kane. Like you will be seen as like, okay, we put him through hell, but the guy's stuck. So there has to be something in him, and we can use him something in a different capacity. And again, he went from the dentist that he hated. He said the music was like just like the drill, the
Yeah.
drill and everything. And he said the character's crap. I don't like it, but I did the best that I could. And then of course he went into the fake Diesel. That's another loss. That's another waste, pretty much, because of course like everybody went to see Kevin Nash. But of course, Vince had to pull out this thing with like Razor and Diesel.
Yeah,
And
because he owned the names and the
yes,
and the looks, but obviously he didn't own the people. So he like tried to put that gimmick on somebody else. I mean, it works with somebody like Sin Cara, who's a
hell yeah,
mask, but it
yeah.
doesn't work with an actual human being.
Exactly, and you've heard that story that like when it was the night that they were supposed to debut, like the people from WCW, it was they had like Nash and Hall, and they were like, "You guys are not leaving, right?" And it's like, "You guys are still here." And it's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here. We're not gonna go." Like because they were actually thinking that they were gonna show up in WWE, and it's like, dude, you realize that like there's a 3 hour flight, right? We're not gonna make it there. So there was that speculation, and then Kane came out and the fake Razor, and of course those gimmicks were dead from the
Mhm.
beginning. But then Kane finally gets the main storyline. He gets the breakout, and then he gets involved into the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels feud. And I know
Yeah.
you love that match. First Hell
Oh
in a
yeah.
Cell, Bad Blood, 1997.
And I like how, I forget who they said the Undertaker. Oh, it was Vader. It was because Vader, when they were in some country.
Kuwait,
Yeah,
Kuwait.
yeah, Kawhi. He had Vader like attack that newscaster because he was like, oh, this is fake, blah blah blah. And they always say Leon White, Vader was just such a nice guy. And when you listen to interviews, he does seem like a nice, humble person. But he was pissed off that day. Don't insult the business in
Well,
front of big man
yeah, like I
Vader.
mean, if you insult the business, then I'm gonna show you my dark side.
Yeah, so then obviously he wasn't in that match, and that's the one credit to Vince McMahon because they wanted to just have this character Kane, and their original thought they said was just one and done. He comes out, Taker beats him, and it's done. But they were like, no, like let's make this a story, let's build it up, and that's the one thing Vince McMahon. He's like the old saying goes, a blind squirrel will eventually find a nut. Like he might walk around forever, but eventually he's gonna find something good, and that's Vince McMahon. He has these bad ideas like Isaac Yankem, fake Diesel, but eventually he'll be like, here's Kane.
And
So
yeah, and then she gave us like a great storyline that like it carry on still this day. Can you
mhm.
believe that? Like the Undertaker and Kane, they still carry on till this day, to the point that we saw him yesterday on SmackDown Live.
Yep.
So it's just so great to see that like how they build the whole story though. The promos, remember, with Paul Bear, your brother Kane, Undertaker,
Yep.
he's coming, and the mind games, and then Bad Blood, Undertaker's about to win first Hell in a Cell, beat Shawn Michaels, boom. And don't you think that that's to me the best version of Kane when he
Oh yeah,
first came
yeah.
out,
Yeah, I like
1997?
the red and the black with the stripes coming up, the
Yep.
one sleeve, that mask. I know his like second mask was kind of similar, but it's that like a first initial look of Kane was the best.
Yes. Yes, that's when he looked the best, and of course he said that like at the beginning he wasn't kind of like understanding the gear and everything because he looked like a superhero. But then Vince kind of like explained a little bit more where did he get that idea. He's like, hey, in his own head, he's a superhero. It's like you
Mm,
gotta understand the Kane psychology, and this is like very important because back then you didn't consider much like psychological illness.
yeah,
You didn't think about psychological effects of your childhood into what you do in your adult life. So to see these things already playing some kind of element in Kane's development is really really under is
yeah,
so
and I never
interesting.
Yeah, and I never thought his costume like I never like thought like, oh, this looks like weird. This looks like it shouldn't belong in wrestling. When it's like when the Undertaker comes out and he was wearing, his like first initial look, and as like the more, as like the I don't even know what you want to call, well, like an Undertaker
Like
essentially.
the
Yeah,
Western
yeah,
Undertaker, yes.
yeah. Like that's not a traditional wrestling attire, and it's like Kane comes out wearing this outfit. To me, it just kind of reminded me like badass, like hell, like red and black. Those are like, I mean, they're cool colors, but it reminds me like almost like a demonic kind of thing. I never thought of that he looked like a superhero.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I can
actually
see it. I can see it now that they say it, but I was just thought he was supposed to be, like Hell's favorite son or whatever they called him. You
yes.
know, so that's like
I
that's how
when
I
when
took
I
it.
think about it, Jean Paul, I agree with you absolutely. And it's not because you're my brother that I have to agree with every single thing you said, but it's just because I always thought that like again, demon, red and black, and
Yeah.
also like big red machine, like
Hmm.
all those everything kind of makes sense. But I never actually thought of a superhero,
Yeah.
with
Neither
like
did I
because
until they
the
said
black
it.
for me doesn't resemble superhero
No.
unless you're Batman, but
Yeah.
just pure black. Not like the red in bold, but like
Mhm.
when they said that, I was actually thinking like, superhero where? To me, I was always more like, oh, I like heavy metal. I'm like from the dark
Yeah.
side, or like even Darth Vader. Like
Hmm.
or like with Anakin in Star Wars, is turning kind of like into the dark side. You see a little bit of that reddish in the
Hmm.
in the fight with the lava and everything. You kind of see that
Yeah, and
resemble.
the red color lightsaber is always for the bad guys, the Sith. Yeah,
Exactly.
so.
So you see like those like red and black always kind of resembles to me a little bit of evil or like
Mhm.
hell. So
Yeah.
yeah, interesting development on that. He comes out, this big storyline starts. 1997 they carry the whole storyline. Yeah, you said he becomes an essential piece in the Undertaker because he cost them matches. Shows up in the Royal Rumble 1998 casket match with Shawn Michaels. He helps Shawn Michaels to win the match, and then he sets the Undertaker on fire. Finally, they got the match at WrestleMania 14. Blowout, legit. Like probably, I'm pretty sure, and even back then, I thought that was the best storyline in going into
Mhm.
WrestleMania. I didn't care much for Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, but for me, it was the Undertaker and Kane.
Oh yeah, Tim. Yeah, I mean, like I'm a big Stone Cold fan, so like I like that match, but I agree with you 100%. The better booked and better told storyline was Kane and the Undertaker going into that. That was the best storyline between those two. Everything like the Brothers of Destruction and all that stuff was legit, but this first initial storyline that led up from the Hell in the Cell until WrestleMania was definitely the best between the two, and it was a legit match because the Undertaker won his WrestleMania streak and everything, but like we said, he kicked out of two tombstones. The third one put him away, but then the Undertaker was laying on his back at the end of the match.
Yes,
And that's
yes.
what I mean. Like even though Kane lost, like we said on the podcast before, there's certain ways to make people lose and they still look good, and that was the thing with Kane.
Yeah, oh yeah, like you said, he lose, but at the same time he won because that led him into like the storyline kept going. They did the Inferno match that we got a little more insight when it comes to that. Hearing from the Undertaker, he said that match was really like really really difficult to work on because we were covering that water, so we will not get splashed from the fire. And of course, Kane gave us more details because he said, well, we had to practice with like stunt actors, so like they will show us how to like get the fire and everything. Don't move this
Hmm.
way because you will be inhaling the flame. The smoke that is coming out from all of that, and that carry on to like also like they have like see the main event scene of that year, 1998. Let's remember that the mid card is The Rock, Ken Shamrock, Triple H, and then the main event guys: Mick Foley, Undertaker, Kane, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Hmm.
So all of these guys, all these four guys, and they had this thing on King of the Ring all the way in 1998. They have the Hell in a Cell, Mankind and The Undertaker match that we talk about for forever. But then the First Blood match, something unheard of to that point.
Yeah, and I like the one thing they say, I remember the first blood match, and I remember, the screwy finish, and like, of course, I don't know if it was political, but like, I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit. And Kane didn't mind, so that's the most important thing. But like, he won the belt and then loses it to Stone Cold the next night. I'm like, that's like some Roman Reigns, John Cena bullshit right there. But
To me, also bullshit. Bullshit
yeah,
is
yeah.
bullshit.
But like at least let him hold it to the next pay per view or something. But anyway, to go back to that, like you said, it's the main. Like you forget that happened at King of the Ring. That the same freaking pay per view, or was it King of the Ring, or
It
what
was
was it?
King of the Ring.
Yeah,
Yes.
you forget that it happened there because, like they said, it's completely overshadowed by that Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, Jean Paul, King of the Ring, there's another one of our guys became King of the Ring, Ken Shamrock. He
Yeah,
beat The Rock. But nobody remembers that
yeah, because
because
the only yeah.
we always think and we relate King of the Ring with the Hell in a Cell. And
Hmm.
see, like this match with Stone Cold and Kane was really good.
Yeah.
That's when Kane was, really flexible. He got
Hmm.
a beautiful clothesline from the top rope,
Yep.
sidewalk slam. I really love his uppercut. He has
Hmm.
one of the best uppercuts that like I would ever seen. His moveset was pretty legit. He wins the title, but nobody remembers that. And like
Yeah.
you said, there's the humbleness from Kane saying that, hey, I didn't mind losing it, giving the title back to you. I got pictures with Paul Bear, all of good, but like the next night, of course, I got to drop it to you. But actually, he felt humble that he was doing that for Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yeah,
which is
and
legit. You see, the guy never didn't have like any political inputs when it came to that.
no, the only political stuff he has is in Knox County.
That's right. He is a
Yeah.
mayor.
Yep.
So
So everything else, like I said, he's so like obviously like we see a little bit from Kane and stuff like outside the ring, and it's like he's a good guy, but then watching this, it really makes you like he is one of the good ones. He's one of the guys. He's not full of himself. He's not bitter. He doesn't look back at the business and be like they screwed me over. Like I love Bret Hart, but like sometimes he's a little bitter and he's a little holds grudges, and the same thing with guys like Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash, like some of those guys, like those big name guys who we love for things that they do in the ring. Sometimes when you get to know them outside of the ring, it's like, ooh, I don't like them as much
yes.
because the way they are. But Kane, it's the opposite. You end up liking him more and appreciating what he did more once you know the man behind the mask.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like you mentioned, like even they talk about it in the interview. They said, hey, when you know how to act professional and you know to keep certain kind of etiquette, certain behavior, nothing
Hmm.
will happen. You will last in the business because, like
Exactly.
they said, there's 200 people in line waiting for a shot. But if you know how to behave, you will have longevity, and that's
Hmm.
what happened with Kane. See, till this day, he comes out, yes, it's kind of annoying because like really, he's like he's like we've seen him like it's not
Yeah,
1997, it's not '07.
because when you see him, it's just like, oh, because the reason why they're bringing him in for like nostalgia reasons to sell for the cheap pop or whatever. It's because like, what are you gonna do? Is Kane gonna come back and win the Royal Rumble and have a legit run? Is he gonna beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? No. It's coming back for to help Daniel Bryan out again, or let's reunite Team Hell No, or let's do the. He talked about DX versus the Brothers of Destruction in Saudi Arabia, which was a dream match for him. So I'm not going to take that away from him. It was something he wanted to have happen, and it happened. So that's legit for him. But why was it done? It was done for the Saudi money.
Yes,
That was the main reason. They didn't say, "Hey, Kane, we know you want this dream match. We're going to give it to you." That would then cross their mind. They did it
yes,
because they wanted the money. So that's why they bring him back. So like you said, it still taints it a little bit, but it's still cool to see him because he was such a big part of our childhood with the
oh
wrestling and just a
yeah,
big part
absolutely.
and just wrestling history.
Oh yeah, like Kane, to me, the big red machine, like I said, 97 all the way up to like '04,
Hmm.
up to like, I would say '07. I will give it up to that. That's when I will say legit Kane. He was like he moved great in the ring. Like he was very strong. Like the moves were legit. He had great rivalries because not only the Undertaker, we can say he had the rivalry with the Big Show. They formed a team with the Big Show. He had the rivalry with Mankind. he had like rivalries with everybody pretty much.
Yeah,
With
and I think him and
Paige,
Mankind were tag team champs.
they were
If I
tag
believe
team
correctly.
champs.
Yeah.
Yes, he was tag team champs with pretty much everybody.
Was
He
it him
was
and X-Pac tag team champs?
Yes, yes, they were. Yeah, in 1999 because they had that storyline that first of all he was kind of like in love with China, and then
Hmm.
China turned on him, and then X-Pac became his friend. They won the tag titles. They went against the Undertaker and Big Show, SummerSlam 1999, and you could see that was another. He got a team with RVD. That was another legit storyline. He got the team with Daniel Bryan, Team Hell No, and of course the Brothers of Destruction, his main story with the Undertaker. Like, remember when American Badass and
Hmm.
Kane, that was a legit, that was
Oh
a
yeah.
so legit tag team. You could say that those guys, like, you could be in the best teams of all time just based on both of the auras and the gimmicks together.
Hmm.
And even that was the first time, Mr. Jean Paul, they mixed the themes. Because remember, you'll hear like the organ, and then boom, give roly, 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 roly.
Yeah, which is awesome. I like when they like mesh the themes and it sounds good because sometimes
Yeah.
they mesh them and it sounds like shit. But that one was
Well, yeah, that Bray
legit.
Wyatt and Monica Hart,
Yeah.
yeah, then, yeah. So it was so good to just go through this like a career of Kane. Like for
Mm.
example, like you said, they talk about the first blood match. See, the one thing in that match is like, how are you gonna make him bleed? Bleed if he has the mask on. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like, oh, like come on.
And that's the
But
thing. Like, yeah, when that match is going on, like it's set up for Kane to win, and then obviously there's shenanigans. Mankind comes down, Taker comes down, and it's like, but Kane won, and like we said, like, he deserved a longer run with the belt, but storyline wise, like he said, it made sense. Like Austin was on fire, like. Why would you? That would be like if Daniel Bryan won the title at Mania 30, and then the next night on Raw they took it from him.
yes,
It's like why would you? You don't take it from a guy who's on fire. So like that is, I understand it's like to give it back to Austin, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I think he deserved more from that
but
first
to me,
initial
yeah,
run.
he definitely deserved more because he was never IC champ. He was never United States champ. He had 10,000 like tag team belts with pretty much everybody. He was hardcore champ, and then he was WWE champion, and then I want to say, let's say 97, 2010, 13 years. Then he became the world heavyweight champion, beating Rey Mysterio at Money in the Bank. And then he held that title for like 3 months. Then he had the last rivalry with the Undertaker. When he came back, they did the Buried Alive, they did the Hell in a Cell, and that was it. And then he lost the title to Edge, TLC 2010, TLC 2010, and then he was never into like he never become champion after that.
Except for the 24/7 championship.
Oh well, yeah, like that.
That
Of course, like that title
bullshit.
that absolutely doesn't count. But yeah, moving along, Jean Paul. They talk about the mask. They say that like how like he had to like always take care of it. That it didn't last too long. That probably 3-4 months at the most. And then they have to keep remaking more masks for him. He said I always kept a good one for TV. So you could tell like it was difficult, but the guy pulled it off.
Oh yeah, he was a professional through the whole thing.
Yes, like
Yeah.
he was able to keep going, but then years go after that. Well, he comes back from the injury. They give him like at least like this side, like so he could actually have the mouth. He could see the mouth, and he was able to talk a little more. And then he
Mhm.
got that beautiful promo that you've seen that when Hulk Hogan and The Rock. And then he goes, "Let me tell you something, brothers," and all
Yeah.
of that. And it's like, and then
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, like, are you ready, Rock?" And then Rock's like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter what," and he cuts him
it's
off.
like
Yeah.
see like like that's like see you could see like throughout his career some funny sides from Kane. I
Hmm.
will say my favorite Kane is just with Undertaker. How
Oh
like
yeah.
at some point they will put like the Brothers of Destruction once again. Remember both of them in the ramp, and they will go like this with the arms raised and everything. That's when I really enjoy
Yeah. I
this
mean,
guy.
to me, like now, obviously, people nowadays wouldn't think it's monumental at all, but I always thought if Undertaker is gonna have a retirement match, I want it to be against Kane. Just do something and they wrestle, and you could even have it that they both go to hell, like they both somehow go through the ring or something happens, make it special. But it's like then that's both guys like they're done
Yeah, and
because
it
it's
will
like they're
and it will be
brothers.
legit.
Yeah,
And it will be
not
legit.
like oh Roman Reigns retires him and then he comes back anyway or whatever. Like I feel like if anybody's gonna do it, it should be Kane.
You know what? Like now that you bring that point, I'm just gonna take you through like I don't know if you've seen that there's like a picture of like it's like this. You see the Undertaker walking in like 1990, and you see like this kid and his father, and he's like, hey, and this it says he's holding a sign that says 1990, and he's like
Mhm.
saying, hey, like, and then you see 2017, and then you see the same kid. Well, the kid is already a man, and the father is getting older, and then he's saying bye, and they're all sad because they see the Undertaker going out.
Yeah.
And then you see 2020, you see the kid already getting older, and the dad like really, really old, and the sign that says, "What the fuck?"
That's how it is. Yeah, I mean, it feels like Undertaker. How many guys have come in after Undertaker and
Yeah,
they already retired
yeah.
because they're
And he's
like,
like, "Come on!" He's like,
yeah, like
but
this
like
dude
if
just keeps going.
you will say if you, I gotta agree with you. If they will have a retirement match, it should be Kane. But I really love, for example, what they did when Paul Bearer died. Like you
Mhm.
remember, it was him and Kane honoring the life of Paul Bearer because see these three guys made that storyline work so much.
Oh yeah,
And to be able to forget about it and revisit it, forget about it, revisit it, and it always worked. Because for me, I will never get tired of seeing the Undertaker and Kane. It's just for me, it's like the best gimmick from both of these guys. Is I enjoy that rivalry because you're always gonna love brother against brother. You're just
Mhm.
gonna love like those family ties. Either you are good or like you're in a
Yeah,
team or like you're against each other.
yeah. It gives it that real feel, and like and just everything the Undertaker did for him. He talks about all the backstage stuff, and like I think it was he was talking to Vince or something. He said, and he's like, hey, I think Mark, the Undertaker. He's like, I think Mark worries more about you than he does himself. Like for his booking and his his storylines and stuff. He's like
Exactly,
he
and you
worries more about how Kane is treated and how his character is booked versus the Undertaker.
in a way you will think that like he really assumed that role that like, he's the older brother,
Yeah.
so he sees Kane as his little brother, and that's why he always care about him that much.
Hmm.
And yeah, he of course went on the lens of like actually doing some appearances when Kane was actually running for mayor and
Yeah, which
everything.
was badass.
Oh yeah, I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to just hang out with the Brothers of Destruction.
And it's
Imagine.
funny because like Kane's shirt was like the old, well, yeah, Kane, Glenn Jacobs' shirt was like the old Raw logo, and it
Yeah,
was like Mayor Kane, and he has the mask, and then Undertaker's there in street clothes. Like normally Undertaker's the one who keeps the mystique and the
yes,
gimmick,
yes.
kayfabe, but this time it was Kane, and it was cool to just it was that was a cool picture
Exactly.
to
No,
see the
but
two of them.
absolutely outstanding. And now Jean Paul just let's walk me through like he takes the mask off, so he went nuts. He
Mm.
actually sets Jim Rose on fire. I think he said he enjoyed that. Uh, and like he became such a like he went psycho, and
Hmm.
that's he had to like evolve. He had to make the character even more like lunatic, like more out there. And I do appreciate that. But see, I wouldn't much rather like seen him winning the championship, having a
Yeah,
world title run.
that's yeah. You gotta like have that lead up to something.
Yes,
Because it's like the Undertaker, he changed his gimmick, the American Badass. You had like The Rock, he even evolved from his right when he left the Nation and kind of was on his own from to when he had his like first when he dropped the title to Brock. There was like an evolution. There was a change in his character, and Kane wanted to do the same. He didn't want to just be the big red machine under the mask. He wanted to take the mask off, talk more. Do and really just you see his face and not that's how he really wanted to like change the character. But like that's such a monumental thing. Like it should have been rewarded with a title. There should have been something out of it.
yeah, that don't waste, like I said, 13 years of just to give him something. Be like, here, oh yeah, like you haven't been champion for a while. Here,
Hmm.
like no, but he was always like a company guy because he played everything. Because there was like, remember 2014, 2015 with the Alliance,
Yeah, the
with the
corporate Kane.
Authority,
Yep.
and all that corporate Kane that he was really
Which
trashy.
they didn't talk about corporate Kane, which is I'm fine with because I did not care for that at all. I didn't
I'm
care.
pretty sure that he would
Kane
have
in a
said it was a
suit.
bullshit idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kane in a suit and all that. I mean, like the whole authority, like it was good for like the Daniel Bryan storyline and all that. Like Seth Rollins and all that stuff. All those guys, but just like you could have did somebody different than Kane. To me, like taking off his mask is one thing, but then putting him in a suit and all that is like, hey, come on.
yeah.
Especially 'cause it goes back to because now it's not like he's still corporate Kane. He comes out like 2012 Kane and all that. So it's like,
Yes. Yes, for
you
example, and
know,
like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, if maybe when he got the suit on, he's like, okay, I can be a politician. maybe I can run for like something, and he actually did, and
Yeah.
he became the mayor. So, and now we'll just talk about like the team Hell No. They did that. They put that promo like when he's like in, I think
Anger
he's in therapy.
management.
In the
Yeah.
anger management, it's like, oh, I set my family, my parents, and my brother on fire. I have an obsession of like inflict pain to Pete Ross.
Yeah, he's like, I electrocuted somebody in the nuts, all that stuff. And Daniel Bryan is just like this the whole time, and it's just so funny. Like you
Yeah,
said, like
and
Kane.
then just
Yeah, Kane was like the serious one who was talking all the time, and Daniel Bryan was like the one who wouldn't talk and would be like funny. Like their roles were almost like reversed.
yes, yes, and now we'll actually, yeah, yesterday night, he was on SmackDown, and then he revealed a little bit of a team Hell No. So they did a little bit of a reunite. Yeah, they reunited once
Mhm.
again. Let's see, you can remember watch the SmackDown review and that time with me,
Yep, the
and I know
glorious, glorious review done by Juan.
Jean Paul is really pissed off because they make the Fiend look like a fucking idiot. You know, the Fiend looked really trashy, Jean Paul. I'm pretty sure you watched it.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate that, but I mean, it made Kane look good.
Mm.
So now we're talking mainly Kane. So I really enjoy his run with Daniel Bryan. It was a good tag team, and he could still go back then. I wouldn't say that now. And also, my last piece I'm gonna tell you through is that when 2015, when they did the 20 years of the Undertaker in the WWE, that whole storyline with the Wyatt family. See, that was really cool when they reunited the Brothers of Destruction and they went against all members of the Wyatt family. So
Yeah.
you remember that Survivor Series 2015. That was a really cool story. And remember, kind of a little crappy that two guys beat four, but I mean, it
Like
was
you
the
said,
Undertaker and
yeah,
Kane.
it was the 20 years of the Undertaker. Unfortunately, like you said, the Wyatt family as a whole, their main roster run, it was just they were misused.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
from that to John Cena, everything else. It's
And I will tell you, like Jean Paul, like yesterday to me, they buried very White. To me, like he retrieving. The Fiend is not supposed to retrieve.
yeah,
You know, they made him look like an idiot, and I
yeah.
don't
That
like that.
yeah,
I
like
don't like
I mean,
that.
you could argue, oh, it's head games now. Daniel Bryan's thinking he might win, and then the Fiend. You know what I mean? But it's all like I don't. You could go back to Hell in a Cell and say they screwed up the Fiend then, but I mean,
He was getting
it.
some
Yeah,
kind of momentum, but once
yeah,
again, he's back on that.
yeah,
So I think the whole interview was very enjoyable,
mm,
very entertaining.
yeah.
We get
And
to see a
the one
side of the mayor. Yeah.
one thing I want to say when we're on the topic of tag teams before we wrap this up is just I do like how Stone Cold and Kane, they both were putting over tag team wrestling,
Yes.
because on the main roster we know that that's a glaring issue, one of the many, but they really said like, hey, you can do a lot with tag team wrestling. They really appreciate it. And Kane even said like he enjoys a good singles match, like because there's the story and everything else, but he likes wrestling tag team matches more because there's way more dynamic, like he said, the baby face, and to me it made me think of like X-Pac. The baby face is getting beat down, beat down, beat down. He makes the hot tag, in comes Kane, and the crowd pops, they go crazy, he clears house, he knocks everybody out, and then like that's what you want to see, but you don't get that from a singles match.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, see, that's something that thank you for reminding me because see, that was really cool to hear from the guys, from the
Mm-hmm.
guy that like do this every single day. That like, oh yeah, the tag team is something important. Even the referee plays something, some kind of like
Yeah, because they
a role
distract
in
the
this.
ref. Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you caught on into this, but like Stone Cold said, like I hate triple threat matches.
Mm-hmm.
And also Kane said, "Ugh." So like it's cool to hear that from these guys that like actually they didn't like triple threat. And
Yeah.
for me, I do think that like triple threat adds a little bit of flavor to it, but like kind of like the finishes are always kind of crappy. Even
Yeah.
in the game, remember like you hit
Mm-hmm.
your finisher to the one dude, you're about to pin him, and then you grab me, you hit yours, and you win.
Yep.
So
That's what I mean.
it's
Like, yeah, and to me, I think it's because back then, like we said about the Attitude Era before, it was like it was mostly the stories were really good. The stories were good. Some of them were kind of crappy, whatever, but a lot of the stories were good. But sometimes the matches weren't like the greatest thing because it was all the guys. There were the gimmicks, the characters. So like a triple threat match, it was just an example. It could be like Mankind, Triple H, and like The Rock or something, and it's like that might not be a formula for a great match because it's just like, will those guys all mesh well together in a triple threat? Does it make sense? I feel like they were just throwing triple threat and fatal four-way matches together just for ratings and just to be, make money and outdo WCW, when it's like you need to do it for storyline purposes. So maybe that's what they didn't like, or maybe it was just like the wrestling aspect. I don't know, but
It might be, but
I
like,
did pick that up, and I was hoping they would have went into it, but they just kind of brushed over that.
yeah, they just like didn't elaborate, but good, like a good interview. I really enjoy it. I don't know if you remember the part that like Stone Cold pauses for a little bit. He grabs the beer, he like smashes it, throws it in the trash, and then he grabs another one, and then he's
Yep.
like, okay, let's go back to it.
Yep.
So I enjoyed this way more than Goldberg. I just
Oh,
maybe like you
absolutely.
said, Goldberg, maybe his personality is not there. Maybe he's not as charismatic, but to get to meet Glenn Jacobs, the person, and how he felt about all the run that he had, it was
Yeah.
very, very interesting. Just to wrap it up, your best moment from Kane of all time for you.
Uh, it's got to be the. I mean, I don't want to just be like generic and just say his debut, but I would say either his debut or the WrestleMania 14 match. Just like the whole match, because even just like watching it, like he's like, if you've seen the match before, you, like I said, he kicks out of the tombstone, but when he kicks out of it and then kicks out of it again, it's like, holy shit! Like
And they even said,
you think
yeah,
he's gonna win. Like,
and
who kicked out Hulk Hogan? That was it.
yeah, that was it.
And then Shawn Michaels later on, and there might have
Yeah,
been probably other guys who kicked out of it too, but it's like that was one of the first that it's like, oh man, like that's what I mean. It's just so cool because he had that aura and that mystique, and I feel even by 99, 2000, like, he lost a little bit of his mystique
yes,
because he would lose, like, to me, and like I said it before in this video, but like when he lost the title to Austin, to me that took some wind out of his sails. That killed his momentum because
yes.
even though he didn't beat Austin clean, Undertaker and him hit the chairs, and that's what caused Austin to bleed. Like, that still shouldn't have mattered. I felt like you could have did something where, like, if I would have booked it, Undertaker would have beat Kane for the title, and then Stone Cold would have beat Undertaker because Undertaker is the reason why Stone Cold lost.
Yes.
So that's who he should have got his revenge on, or he should have had to have a match against Taker and beat Taker and then win the title, and then him and Undertaker could have feuded for a couple months, and Kane could have a couple month title run, and then when Stone Cold beats Undertaker, then he can go against Kane.
I
Like,
absolutely.
to just have a 1 day title reign, it's like that kind of killed it. I'm like, really? Like,
That
that's like
killed
that's
it
like a
for
Rey
me also.
Mysterio. That's like,
Not yeah, exactly. It's like, oh wait, it's like hot potato, and he's
yep.
like, we know you're gonna get it back. So just to actually fix something that I just said a few minutes ago, he was IC champion because he beat
Okay.
Triple H in a strap match. So it
Okay.
actually
Yeah.
ties along that like Daniel Bryan is gonna go against the Fiend for like a strap match. So he was IC champion, and that takes me to my favorite moment from Kane is Backlash 2001, American Badass and Kane going against Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H. That's like, to me, that was the best.
Oh yeah, and
The
look at
best four
those.
guys.
I was gonna say, yeah, at the time, besides maybe The Rock, like, who other four guys are you gonna put in there
Yes,
for
and
the
that was
best
when The
guys in the
Rock
company? Yeah.
he left to like do some Hollywood things to try on like
Oh,
his
was that when
acting
he probably
career.
doing like the Scorpion movie?
Yes, when the
Yeah.
Scorpion King. Yes, and so like that, and to have this too, that strap match with Triple H, I really enjoy that. Like that Kane, and the whole storyline with the Undertaker. He got busted, like his arm was like not the elbow. He had the injury. All that storyline because it was like a 3 month storyline, and then that led into like Judgment Day, and that's when like he fought Triple H for the IC belt, and then he won it. So I'm sorry, like my head like slipped right there, but I was
That's
able
all
to
right. So
I
he
was
just
able to go
needs.
back.
So he all he needs to do is show up on Raw and beat Andrade, and then he'll be a Grand Slam.
Oh yeah,
Oh, well, I
yeah.
guess he needs Universal. So shit.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
at least they count as a world champion in
Yeah.
WWE. But you're right, but
Yeah.
you can have to count like the 10,000 runs because he teamed
Yeah.
up with absolutely everybody. His worst moment, I will say for me, the match with the Great Khali, WrestleMania.
Well,
Absolutely,
any match with a great Khali
yeah, yeah.
is going to be somebody's worst match.
Really, really bad. So, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Once again, please hit that subscribe button right there that you see in our
Hmm.
beautiful layout. Please check us out on social media world. Jean Paul, take us through, please.
Well, we got Facebook, Rope Break, Instagram, the original Rope Break, Twitter, OG Rope Break, all listed, like Juan said, in a beautiful template. So, check us out. Follow us on all social media for
Check
all
us out.
updates. And Juan, we do the video reviews. Juan also posts right after, his thoughts on the shows right when they end. So, we're not more than just the videos. So we got a bunch of stuff.
We're just more videos. We're like always trying to interact with you guys. So please keep interacting with us. I want to appreciate every single one of you. I want to be very thankful because I see that like a lot of people are following us more and more and more. And once again, thank you so very much. And Jean-Paul, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you again. And we're going to come back with more videos because like, we never stop. Like, I don't know how we do it sometimes, but we do it. So Jean-Paul, in the name of you and me, we want to say...